Hello, everyone, and welcome to Immigration Live with Lee. I am your host, Attorney Lee Marvin, and today is a very special day, very interesting day, Monday, January 20th, which is the inauguration of President Trump. He was inaugurated earlier today, and there's a lot of things that are happening and have already happened already, okay? It's very, very interesting times. So if you have questions, I invite you to please post your questions in the comment section so that I can answer them. Otherwise, if it's just a matter of you asking or just listening, that's great. Today's also a special day because it's Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, MLK Day, okay? So a lot of interesting things. I don't know if you all watched the inauguration of President Trump today. He said a number of things about immigration, and I'm going to get to these here in a second. They're way too important to ignore. So I will mention a few of them before I get questions. Again, please type your questions in the comment section. I will get to them as I can. You don't have to ask for permission. Just type your question and I will get to them, okay? So when you're logging in here, remember that I love to know where you're joining us from. So can you please let me know in the chat where you're joining us from? If that's Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is where I am, my hometown, or if it's in India, if it's in Jamaica, we have a lot of friends joining us from all over the place. Colombia, we got a lot of regular people from all over the place. So please let me know, and the rest of the fellow watchers know where you're joining us from, okay? So questions, where you're from, and we're going to get rolling here, okay? So let's see. The first friend we have says hi, hello. I'm not going to butcher your name, sir, but thank you for joining us. Where are you joining us from, sir? I'm sure you'll type it here in a moment. So let's see. Okay. Crawford County, Illinois. Okay. Well, Mr. Edison, thank you for joining us. We got a friend joining us from Maryland. Oh, okay. So our friend is joining us from Maryland. Thank you kindly for joining and for letting us know where you're joining us from. My friend in Maryland, I'm not going to butcher your name. How cold is it in Maryland right now? Because it is minus degrees right here in Michigan. It is mighty, mighty cold. And it's supposed to be really cold the next 3 days. So hopefully you're not as bad there as we are here. So again, lots of friends joining us from Instagram, as always from YouTube, and also Facebook. So although we are not currently broadcasting on TikTok, we're happy to know that our TikTok account is open. President Trump, one of the first few things he did when he was sworn in was revive TikTok. Okay, so TikTok is back, and of course, our other platforms weren't under attack to be closed down. Whatever you're joining us on tonight, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, we welcome you. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, first question here is what about the EO of travel ban of those 7 countries? What about EO? EO, I don't know what EO stands for, but I got a question about the travel ban. That, of course, is reference to the travel ban under the previous Trump administration. I have not heard anything yet about the travel ban. I think most of the emphasis, while Trump is the brand new president, number 47, is going to be on quite literally undoing as much as possible as what President Biden did, mostly the border crisis, okay? So President Trump is focusing on the border, the security coming into the United States, okay? That's the biggest thing, and I'll get into that in a bit, because I want to do a shout out to our friend from New Jersey, which is Dupa in New Jersey, friend in Cincinnati, Corvera Freddie, thank you for joining us from Cincinnati. Cincy is a great town, another Midwest city. So thank you for joining us from there. Let's see what we got. Again, our friend from Effingham, Illinois. Okay, I've got a question. Let's see. My wife refused to file taxes together. Would it be a problem to remove my conditional card this year? So DUPA. So this is a question about the removal of conditions, part of a green card process. So a conditional process in a conditional green card, okay? The government really likes to see as many things as humanly possible to show that you are in a bona fide relationship still, okay? I know you've already been married for 2 years, but after that 2 years, they still want you to convince them that you are still in a legitimate relationship with your significant other. One of the best ways to show that is through finances, especially income taxes. It is not a deal killer if you do not file taxes together. It might cause concern for the government, so it depends on how many other things you have. If you have a lot of other things, not having a joint tax filing is not necessarily a deal breaker. If you have virtually nothing, it might cause concern. But what is done is done. If your significant other doesn't want to join you with your taxes, then you just fill out other things and you include other things that shows your relationship together, okay? So let me go over here. That was from my Instagram channel. Let's go over to YouTube real quick here. Let's see here. Let's see. Valeria is joining us from New York City. I'm sure it's cold in New York like it is here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Kansas, Danny's joining us from Kansas with a question, okay? Let me see here. Okay, just got a notice from breaking news. Trump said he pardoned roughly 1,500 defendants involved in the January 6th attack on the Capitol. That just popped up. It caught my eye, so I thought I mentioned it. 1,500 people were just pardoned by Trump. As you guys know how this works back and forth, president to president, Biden's been pardoning people like crazy. I think the largest pardon in modern history was by Biden. A bunch of people that were in prison for drug-related crimes, he pardoned about a week ago. So we're going to get notices back and forth as this continues to transition to the Trump's administration, okay? But I was just talking about my friend from Kansas. I had a successful interview last week. Congrats with my wife. The officer approved the case, but the status checking online didn't change. Wondering why. Thanks. So, Danny, I wouldn't worry about it because you know what? That online stuff, go back a few years to when I started doing these videos. I've never been positive about this process because it's been notoriously fraught with inaccuracies. The government has never been good about the online updates, okay? So just because it's not updated online, I wouldn't put any stock in that. Your agent at your interview has a lot more credibility than the online system. So just because it hasn't changed, I wouldn't pay any attention to that whatsoever. If you were approved and the agent told you that you're approved, that's good as gold. Just keep watching your mail and see what happens. I wouldn't worry about it though, okay? So congratulations again to you. Okay, so it's not too cold. My friend in let's see, in Maryland. Okay, not too cold. Well, good for you. But the question is, what is the future for affirmative asylum applicants? The future is good. Affirmative asylum is one of the things that wasn't really abused too much by people coming in through the southern border. Defensive asylums were different. Defensive asylums, that was the way to bypass the normal legal system, which was to enter with update CBP1. If you guys know that went dark today at noon. Right when Trump came into office, they shut the CBP1 app, which was a horrible, horrible, horrible thing, which encouraged all the problems that we had at the southern border. The CBP1 app was one of the worst things to happen to immigration, in my opinion, because a lot of people that had no ability to enter, they entered with no real chance of asylum. And the defense of asylum was the process that they were using. A lot of people enter with a CBP1 and then disappeared, never went to court, and they never were able to move forward with their process. So the question about affirmative asylum, I don't see any problems with the future of affirmative asylum because it's a very different process and it's much harder to abuse than defensive asylum, okay? So if you have an affirmative asylum case, I would continue to follow through with that and expect that it's going to move forward. I'm not praising all aspects of immigration, believe me, because I still have clients. It's been years that we're still waiting for affirmative asylum to go through. So that is definitely not a great process, meaning the future is still there, but everything takes a long time with immigration. Affirmative asylum, I have clients from 8 years ago. We still don't have an interview, but it's still a process open to people. And if you have that process open to you, then you can get protection, you can get a work permit, and you can actually move forward with your life in the United States while you're waiting for your interview. And I've helped people for years and years with that process, and I still help people with that process, okay? So, Mr. Grinch, cold in Nashville. Sorry to hear that, my friend. Usually it's muggy and hot down there in that Nashville. I'm sorry it's cold. It's probably not as cold as it is where I am, but thank you, Mr. Grinch, for joining us every week. I very appreciate seeing you on here, okay? So thank you for that. Okay, we've got Lorena Isabel Walker. That's, let's see, in Espanol. Ooh, you're going to test me here, huh? Estoy un poquito preocupada por las reduras. So a little bit worried about the changes under Trump. Okay. Ciudadana marcada, debo cargar conmigo algún documento especial. So Lorena, again, thank you for joining us. You're a loyal friend of ours, and I appreciate it. We can probably talk to you offline, okay? So I can get to the heart of your question, okay? So again, our friend joining us from Jamaica, which he's often joining us every Monday from Jamaica. I know it's not frigid -degrees in Jamaica. So thank you for bringing your warmth to us. We really appreciate you sending the warmth. Let me go down to here. And I'm going to pop over to my Instagram here in just a second. Okay, so here's a tricky question. Okay, Umberto, hello from Nicaragua. Hello, thank you for joining us. Can an undocumented immigrant pay taxes if he or she wants to apply for any type of change of status later on? So the thing is with taxes, IRS obviously is very different than immigration. IRS has special rules about people who can qualify for Social Security, of course, but basically tax ID numbers, ITIN, ITIN, or ETIN. So you can qualify for this. IRS says if you have the legal obligation to pay taxes, then we are going to get you a tax identification number. Now, that is easier said than done because there's certain documents that you can use to get these tax ID numbers. If you can get one, I highly encourage you because that provides you a path in the future to do certain things, okay? It definitely helps. If you can get an ITIN and pay taxes, that is absolutely going to help you. Social Security numbers might not be possible, but tax identification numbers, a lot of people that do businesses in the United States have the ability to qualify for tax identification numbers. Usually you have to go through your accountant for that. So check it out, okay? Okay, let me go over to Instagram. I see that we have, holy cow, tons of people on Instagram. Sorry, I kind of neglected you. Let me look at the questions here. Tons of people on Instagram. Question is, can you please discuss green card renewals? Okay. People that want to renew their green cards. Again, I don't see, okay, this is, okay. So the thing is, I don't know if this is related to Trump or Biden, but I see no changes whatsoever currently relating to renewal of green cards, okay? So removal of conditions, okay, that might be one thing. Renewing green cards, you absolutely have the right to renew your green card. If you're going to expire within 6 months, you can renew your green card. I don't see any difficulties whatsoever. People with green cards are probably some of the last people that have to worry about politics. So yes, renew your green card when you can. I think it's 6 months. It might be 90 days before expiration of your green card, before you can renew it. Check it out. Check out my videos on YouTube, because I do have a video that tells you about that. But I don't see any problem with that. Okay, so you can renew when the government says you're allowed to renew. Okay, so let me go down here. Sean Shooting Star. I came here in 2015 on a B1, B2 visa and don't have any problems or tickets. I'm only here as an overstay. I just opened my business last year. Congratulations, not easy to do. What can I do? Okay. So Sean, if you're only here as a tourist, you overstayed and all you have is a business, then you might not have as many options as somebody who has a sponsor, which is a family member, okay? If you have also a family member who's a sponsor, there's things that can be done to change your visa overstay to an immigrant seeking immigration status, okay? You may need to check out this link. I should have prepped this, but okay. I'm going to post a link for you so we can talk more directly about your situation, because a lot can depend on your situation. And I would like to get all the details before I just go off and start answering questions that might not necessarily relate exactly to your situation. So that link is a way that you can book a time to talk to me directly, okay? Let's see. I'm going down my Instagram. How long to get a work permit under the U visa process? Okay, U visa process. One of the great things that Biden did in his presidency was do this expedited, or it wasn't expedited. It was the bona fide determination that he said, if you file for a U visa, and if we determine that you have a legitimate U visa request, we're not going to make you wait 7 years, which is what it used to take, before we give you the right to apply for a work permit. Usually it takes about 7 years to get a U visa approved. That used to be the only way you could get a work permit, is by actually getting your U visa approved. Then he made that change, and a bona fide determination, usually within a year or two, you can qualify for that and you can get your work permit approved. So usually, once you get that bona fide determination, it takes about 3 or 4 months to actually get the work permit approved. Okay, so that's a very good question. Okay, so I'm still tons of questions on Instagram, so let me spend some time here for a little while longer. Okay. Sonia says, as a newly citizen, congratulations, with 2 minor kids living in the U.S., and they have green cards. Can I apply for their passport first, or certificate of naturalization? So if your kids have a green card, if you are now naturalized and they're minors, you can move forward with the N-600 process. You can go ahead and move forward with that. You don't have to wait for them to go forward and become naturalized themselves. You can do that because you are a naturalized citizen and because they're still minors and they're green card holders. That's the key. I've had so many people challenging me on this. My kids automatically get citizenship as soon as I do. Maybe if they first have a green card. Everybody who becomes a U.S. citizen, other than being born, have to be legal permanent residents in order to become a citizen. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter who your parents are. So that should help you. It sounds like you and they are going to be able to do that, okay? Let's see here. So Sean Shooting Star, my pleasure. You have a brother as a citizen here. That's great. So yeah, reach out to me and I can definitely help you figure it out. And thank you for following me on my channel. Okay, thank you. Okay, so Sean is asking me again how to reach out to me. I posted a link, Sean, and you'll see at the bottom of the screen that you're watching is my 800 number and my web address. You can check that out, and there's plenty of ways to contact me. Okay, so check that out. Okay, I'm gonna answer this last one before I go back over to YouTube. My friend used to visit the U.S. His visa was canceled. That's never good. He married a U.S. citizen and keeps getting denied. Yep, at the National Visa Center. Can his wife still file for his kids and bring them here, even if the husband can't? Okay, this is a very long screen name, and I wish I could post this for people to see. Whoops. The question 876 TJG special 876. Yes, they can. You need to click the link and have them reach me directly. Book a time to talk to me because I can help them with this. Even if the husband it's not working out for him, I can definitely help with the kids and I can analyze why it might not be working for him and try to help you with that. Okay. So again, I'll put the link one more time because it's highly important to contact me for that. Okay. So let me go over here, Instagram. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. Sam, this is from earlier. Sam says, if an undocumented immigrant who does not have a state ID, but only a valid foreign passport, can that raise a flag if asked for identification? Sam, that's interesting. Typically speaking, if you have a foreign passport, you have the right to travel in the United States with a foreign passport. If you're over your authorized stay in that passport, well, that's going to bring up some red flags. And the government, if it's ICE or if it's at the airport, they're going to say, hey, why are you still here? You're supposed to leave. So state ID obviously are for people that are here more permanently and have other processes to help them get a state ID. If it's a foreign passport, that just shows that you have the right to travel internationally. It doesn't give you the right to remain in the United States past the time in your passport. So that is a bit more complicated situation. I encourage you, Sam, to book a consultation so I can find out more to see if there's anything that can help you transition to staying here longer, okay? Okay, so Janil Patel, my parents' I-130, the processing time is showing 7 months, and now it's showing 17 months. Okay, I'm assuming that this was within a recent period of time, and it blew your mind. 7 to 17 months, that is a huge change. I don't know if that was in 2 days or if that was over months, okay? So if you give me a little bit more information, I could probably answer that better. This is one of my YouTube followers. So yeah, give me more information, Janil. If you can't, book a time to talk to me. I would love to help you understand what is going on. As always, I know you're on my YouTube channel, so you're probably checking out my videos where I explain all this stuff about processing times and how to interpret what you're seeing. Check it out, okay? So thank you, sir. Again, I don't want to butcher your name, so I will call you sir. Thank you kindly. And I'm glad that you're not as cold and the East Coast as we are here in Michigan. I appreciate your kind words. Okay, we've got a friend from South America, Yolande. I know you've been on here before from Guyana joining us. We have a lot of friends who join us in South America. I'll be honest, I have a soft spot for Colombia, obviously, because I've got family in Colombia. But thank you for joining us. Okay, Jashon D. I know you are a regular follower of ours, so thank you again for joining us. Your case is at the National Visa Center now. All documents were sent in the 7th of January, and they approved all the documents that was sent, but they requested on the 14th of January the divorce decree. How long before it can be approved? I remember you asking this question in the past. So if you've already responded and given that information, I think what you're experiencing is a delay based on the change in Biden to Trump. There's a lot of moving parts with immigration, okay? And the president, they're revamping everything with immigration. So give it some time. Again, you can reach out directly to me by clicking the link. I can help you with that in the future if you don't feel like you're getting any traction. But just be a little bit more patient because I know it'll work at some point in the near future, okay? Okay. Let's see. And yes, there's backlogs everywhere, guys. Check out my YouTube channel about how to interpret the backlogs, but there are backlogs. There are, and they have been for years, more so in the last several years, but that's not going to change anytime soon. I don't know what the processing times to get an interview in Jamaica is. Jahione, I don't know what it is right now. Again, I have instructions how you can figure that out, or you can contact me directly. And if I had more time, I would look it up for you. But we have tons of questions, and this is a hot night for immigration. I haven't even gotten to the stuff I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to get through these questions first, and then I'm going to talk about what I was going to talk about before. I might go over tonight, okay? Usually I do a half an hour. I might go over because this is so important, okay? Let's go over here. Okay. Begotten. How likely is it to get rejected after the I-130 is approved at the National Visa Center if my wife has never worked or lived in the United States? That's not a risk because honestly, the National Visa Center and people going through the National Visa Center, it's normal. The process is actually intended for those people. So if you've never worked or lived in the United States, that's the normal process. It's not normal for people to be in the United States, to live here, and then to petition to go to the National Visa Center. That's not the normal way of doing it. It usually is people outside the United States living their life and then coming to the National Visa Center. So that's not a problem at all, Begotten, okay? She's a U.S. citizen. That's the normal way of doing it. So if you don't have that joint stuff because you've been living in different countries, that's not really weird, okay? If you have more questions, if I'm not getting to the heart of your question, you can always click the link and book a time to talk to me directly, okay? So we got Rutherford here. If I have a DUI, can't that make me not become a citizen? No. No. That, unless there's other stuff going on. A DUI in and of itself, by itself, does not invalidate your ability to become a naturalized citizen. There are things you got to do, right? Immigration doesn't just give it away. I've done a lot of these, and I continue to have great success with people filing for naturalization with criminal backgrounds. Now, I don't really do a whole lot for people that have already filed with these problems and want me to fix it because it was denied. No. If you come to me to file and I can sanitize your situation from the beginning, chances of success are huge. So Rutherford, check me out. Again, my link is in the chat, so you can book that time to talk with me, and I would love to help you with that, okay? Okay, so G, We've got Mr. Marvin, are 601 waivers for misrepresentation likely to be affected by the new administration besides processing times? That's a good question. And I think you asked this question last week or the week before. I don't know. I haven't seen anything about this. Of course, I haven't seen a great deal about any of this because Trump is just now announcing things. But I don't suspect that anything different. It's very difficult to get a waiver approved for misrepresentation, depending on what you misrepresented. But I haven't seen anything about any new information about how the Trump administration is going to take that into consideration. So stand by for that, and you can book a time to talk to me, and I can help you figure that out, okay? Let's see, what do we have here? A few more questions before I get to the stuff that I wanted to talk about. Let's see here. Okay, friend joining us from Sri Lanka. Okay, I think that's the furthest away we've had tonight. So thank you for joining us from Sri Lanka. I've never been there before. I have spent a fair amount of time in Indonesia and in Southeast Asia, but Sri Lanka is not a country I have been to yet. Okay, our F4 category is now at the National Visa Center, 13 years. How long till we get our interview? So go to my YouTube channel, check out the video on how you look up that time, because the government does post the processing times for these. So check out that video and check out their processing times for that. 13 years, the F4 category is by far the longest. I think F4 category in Mexico is about 18 to 20 years. I don't know what it is in Sri Lanka. It's probably a little bit shorter than Mexico, but it is a very long time. Check out my channel and take a look at that video, okay? Okay. Okay, so here's a follow-up to G's question earlier. Do you recommend submitting 601 along with I-130 485 if you know you'll likely need a waiver? Or would you wait for them to issue an RFE? Here's the deal. That's a trick question if you don't know immigration, because you do not have the right to file a 601 waiver unless you've already filed your 485, okay? The right for a waiver is only if you've been denied, okay? So 601, you have to go through the green card process, you have to go through the National Visa Center, and you have to go to the interview, and you have to be denied before you have the right to file for a waiver. That's not true with a 601A waiver. Those are the waivers for people inside the United States. If you're doing a 601 waiver, that means you're outside the United States, or you're trying to correct a problem based on a denial. So you have to already go through all that stuff. Book a time to talk to me, and I can help you figure it out, because if you're not on the right path, you could be in some trouble here, okay? So reach out to me, and I can help you figure that out, okay? And let's see here. I got another question before I get to the content I wanted to talk about. Okay, here's a question. I just got approved for Advanced Pro last week. Excellent, great to hear. Is it safe to travel now that Donald is back in office? I'm a DACA recipient. I figured as much. I do not think so. Teflon Don historically has been pro-DACA, okay? I know he blocked the advanced parole thing in the past. I think that was more related to the Biden administration and politics rather than his support of DACA. I think you're safe because, again, remember, you guys, right now, Trump's priority, and I'm going to go over it right here in a second. Trump's priority is absolutely closing this gaping, massive, criminal-infested hole that everybody keeps slipping through at the southern border. CBP-1 app was already destroyed. That is what he's worried about. He's not worried about people with DACA and advanced parole who legally got permission to be able to remain in the United States with DACA, to be protected by DACA, and to get special permission to leave the country and to return. I don't see a problem with that. I've been helping people in the last 2 months. I've been crazy trying to promote people to do the advanced parole because I have faith in the program and the fact that Trump is not going to kill it. So, Brian, I don't think you need to worry. If I were you, I'd do it and do it as soon as you can, because if Trump does change that, then people in the future aren't going to be able to do it. I think you're going to be safe because you've got nothing to worry about. I'm assuming you don't have any criminal issues, or you would no longer have DACA. So you're not somebody that needs to worry about a great deal. And again, this is not my politics. I'm just reporting on what's going on here, okay? Because again, I mentioned CBP1, worst thing ever for the United States. Done. That was killed today. Incidentally, we already know that TikTok is back up, so that's a positive. So what did Trump say today during his inauguration? Okay, a lot of stuff related to immigration. Remain in Mexico. He's not bringing it back because Biden never got rid of it. That's the dirty little secret. Biden never got rid of remain in Mexico. Trump was criticized heavily for remain in Mexico by Biden, but Biden never got rid of it. Trump did say that remain in Mexico is absolutely going to be a very powerful tool that they're going to use to police the border situation. So remain in Mexico is going to remain. The other thing that he said, this was a big deal. I've never heard this before. I heard him hinting toward it, meaning Trump. Cartels, he's designated, he probably already did it, okay? These disgusting, despicable, horrible, hate-filled people that are just exploiting anyone and everyone they can, I mean, the cartels are now going to be designated global terrorists. You know what happens to terrorists, especially terrorists that terrorize the United States? We go after them. And every bit of power and authority we have, we use against terrorists, okay? It's no secret. So if Trump is designating cartels, these guys are done. It doesn't matter what country they're in. If you're in Mexico, if you're in Guatemala, El Salvador, if you're anywhere, the Trump administration is going to prioritize coming after you people. And that's a very good thing for everyone, okay? So that is happening. In order to support that initiative, is Trump is issuing a national emergency at the border. This is to close the gaping hole that the border crisis has had or has been for 2-3 years. He's declaring a national emergency, and they're going to do everything to go after people that have come across and who remain here. Okay, that is this big mass deportation business. It's not people that have been here for years and years. That is not the priority of this mass deportation. Okay, it's the last 2-3 years. This is what I've been saying for the last months and months about this situation. The people that entered with CBP1 and who just crossed the border, national emergency, Trump is going to come after those individuals. That's the mass deportation. All these people that came to these sanctuary cities, Denver, Chicago, New York, and absolutely caused chaos and terror for everybody living there. Those are the people that the Trump administration is going to come after, and anyone else that is circumventing or skipping out on the normal process, okay? Honestly, as bad as CBP1 app was, it was a heck of a lot better than people just randomly jumping and crossing and sneaking around. At least they tried to go through the process that existed and try to do the process to try to get asylum. So I do have respect for people who try to do it. It's just the program was not good because it invited way too many people that didn't have the actual right to move forward with anything. So it created massive problems, and it drew a lot of people here, which is what happened with all these sanctuary cities. So that is the emphasis for this mass deportation. So don't be petrified, okay? Unless you're a criminal, and then you have every reason to be petrified because that is who Trump is going after. It's not people that are just trying to make a living and support their families. It's people that are criminals and are violent, hate-filled people. That is who needs to worry about this mass deportation situation. Other thing I wrote down here. So Trump's executive actions, he's going to have a lot of them because 80 of the last minute executive actions by Biden were totally undone by Trump. I don't know which ones they are. There's way too many for me to track. I don't know if they're related to immigration or if they're, friends, allies, co-conspirators, or whatever of the last administration. I don't know. Politics is politics. Every president does that when they leave, and every president does it when they come in. They kind of try to undo what the last person did because it's always politics. That's the way it works, okay? So stand by for all these. There's executive actions, and then there's executive actions. Undoing what the last president did, that happens every time. But there's executive actions that are going to be happening by Trump that actually have meaning as far as moving forward with a lot of these processes, especially with immigration, okay? So watch those, and I will post updates and videos when we hear about them. I'll let you know if you have to worry, or I'll let you know how you can take advantage of some of these executive actions when they come, okay? The last thing I want to say that he mentioned during his inauguration speech was birthright citizenship. Okay, a lot of people worried about that. What does that mean? Does it mean everyone who's ever been born here is now going to lose their citizenship? No, that's not how it works. There's no way that would ever fly, even if Trump wanted that, which would be crazy. There's no way that would ever happen because people who are citizens, unless you committed fraud or whatever, you can't just lose your citizenship because of executive action. It's not how it works. Now, there's going to have to be an act of Congress to make any lasting change to birthright citizenship. I don't know what the proposal is, but I think it probably relates. I think it relates to the future. Okay. I think it relates to the future. If they change the law and then people no longer have birthright citizenship, I don't know exactly what it means. Okay, let me look at here. Okay. Okay. So I think a few more questions before I leave. I just wanted everyone to be up to date on what Trump said he's going to do at the inauguration today. As you guys know, there's a ton of stuff, and it's constantly going to be changing. Let me go to Socorro, who I got to meet the other day. Very, very sweet person. Met the other day in the office, okay? What happens to folks who have started their process to adjust status and they get detained by immigration? Very good question, Socorro. So it depends what for. Typically speaking, if somebody's detained by immigration, it's because they come across the radar of ICE, which usually is because there was a recent criminal activity, okay? Historically, that's how it has been. Somebody gets busted for drunk driving, or you name it. They get on the radar of ICE. ICE comes along and says, okay, well, you broke this rule. Now we're going to process you for deportation. If you've got a legitimate reason or right to remain here, you can fight in court, and you have the right to fight in court. Okay, so Socorro, you start a process, and that's why I've been saying this for years, forever. Start a process when you have a process to start, because you never know when you can use it. So if you have a green card petition for your significant other sponsoring you to move forward in the process, even if you don't have the ability to have a green card interview right away, you still have a process that you could potentially use for, like, in court, okay? Hopefully that helps, Socorro. Again, thank you everyone for joining. It was a little long today, but it was very important. Thank you for sticking with us. Check with us next Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. There's going to be a lot more to talk about next week. So save your questions. And if I didn't get to you tonight, you can reach out to me next week. You can click, again, I'll post the link right here. You can book a time with me directly, or you can join us next week. Thank you kindly. And again, I'm sorry if I didn't get your questions, but if I didn't get to you, make sure you ask next week. So thank you again. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you next Monday.